Good afternoon, welcome VANIK-IAS. We will discuss current affair of 21st July and first we will discuss objective questions. Consider the following statement about glaciers. It is the big body of ice that is created from falling and accumulated snow over a period of time, and human activities do not contribute to glacier melting. They play a role in changing the thermohaline circulation of the ocean. Now, which of the following statements are correct? Let's do this a little. Okay. Which of the following statements are correct? Right? The big body of ice, yes, created from falling and accumulated snow over a period of time, yes. That is glacier. Do not contribute to glacier melting. Wrong. This is wrong. Because of anthropogenic activities, there is climate change and global warming. So there is this glacier melting is primarily because of the human activities or anthropogenic activities. Right? So second statement is wrong. So they play a role in thermohaline circulation of the ocean. Yes, thermohaline circulation in the ocean means the motion of cold current and warm current in oceanic below the ocean in oceans. That is because that is called as thermohaline circulation. Right? It controls it creates temperature balance throughout the world by warm current or cold current. Cold current comes from the areas of cold areas to warm areas. Warm current goes from warm areas to cold areas. So there is circulation, right? So it's called as thermohaline circulation. It also balances the salinity of ocean. Next. Prime Minister paid tributes to hero of Sipai Movement Mangal Pandey on his birth anniversary. Consider the following statements regarding Mangal Pandey, right? He spearheaded the 1857 mutiny against unjust British rule and inspired many to join the freedom struggle. Yes, this is true. Right, what is the following statements are correct. He revolted against the East India Company for introducing cartridges that are greased with animal fat and for the religious sentiment of the soldiers. Right, greased with animal fat of pig. It is said that they are greased with animal fat of pig and cows. That's why Mangal Pandey protested, and it took a religious color, and CPI started. That is the first war of independence, according to Bir Savarkar, right? And in 1858, then Queen's Proclamation came, and the affairs of India directly shifted from the East India Company to under British Crown, right? So both the statements are correct here. Next, General Waqt Khan was the leader and was the head of the head of the march, and Bahadur Shah Zafar was regarded as the leader of the 1857 revolt. Consider the following statements regarding disaster risk reduction. The Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction 2042 took place in India. No, it didn't took place in India. It's wrong. It took place in Indonesia, right? In Indonesia, Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction was this started. Next. The outcome of GP 2022 was summarized in the co-chairs of Bali Agenda of Resilience. The theme of the from risk to resilience. Yes, co-chairs Bali Agenda of Resilience. The theme of 2021 from risk to resilience towards sustainable development for all in a COVID-19 transformed world. Right. It is targeting sustainable development. It is objective is to how to reduce the disasters in upcoming times, and it aims for achieving sustainable development goals. So far as afforestation and again in ensuring climate change is concerned, right? This is called as GPDRR 2022. GPDRR Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction. GPDRR 2022. It is in Indonesia, right? Okay. Next. Then consider the following statements about weather modification. Weather modification is the act of intentionally manipulating or altering the weather. The most common form of weather modification is cloud seeding. China conducted over a half a million of weather modification operations between 2002 and 2012. So, which of the following statements are correct? Weather intentionally manipulating. Yes, intentionally manipulating or altering the weather. Yes, most of the common form of weather manipulation is cloud seeding. Right? Why they do so? Especially because of the artificial rain. The China conducted half a million of weather modification operations between 2002 and 2012. Also, all the statements are correct. What is weather? Weather is a long-term climate is weather, right? Short-term conditions is called as your weather and sorry, weather is a short-term condition of atmospheric pressure and temperature and moisture, all of these things. And climate is a long-term condition is called as climate. This weather modification, it may have various impact on biodiversity. It may also impact the global climate in different ways because it is highly complex. The climate system of the world is highly complex. So in such a situation, this may can contribute severe repercussions so far as climate because of climate change. Right. Next. The Supreme Court extended the time for completion of a special audit of 25 years of accounts of Sri Padmanabhaswamy Temple and Trust up to 2000, August 31, 2022. Consider the following statements about Padmanabhaswamy Temple. Which statements are correct? Padmanabhaswamy Temple, it is the only major temple structure in Kerala that represents the amalgamation of Dravidian style architecture and indigenous features of architecture of Kerala. Dravidian style architecture means the southern style architecture, right? Right, southern style architecture, like so structure will be like this, right? There will be a boundary wall, there will be well present inside the boundary wall, right? So these are the Gopuram temple is very similar to temples of Dravidian mostly found in Tamil Nadu. So Padmanabhaswamy, it's a Dravidian style temple and also indigenous style of Kerala. So both the statements 1 and 2 are correct. The term Karakoram anomaly. What is Karakoram anomaly? Karakoram anomaly means throughout the world, what we witness at present time, we see that there is global warming everywhere because of the various anthropogenic activities. We see global warming everywhere, and there is glaciers are melting. But in case of Karakoram, there is in the midpoint of Karakoram Valley, there is a different phenomenon. Is arising. That is depositions of glaciers, right? Resistance to glacier melting in Karakoram. So there is depositions of glaciers or glaciers are increasing. That is called as Karakoram anomaly. It's anomalous behavior. Anomalous behavior means different behavior, right? Than other different behavior. So it is behaving in different manner. Rather than depletion of glaciers, here it is there is increment of glaciers. That is C is the answer. The Finance Ministry has recently declared zero coupon, zero principal instruments. Zero coupon, zero principal instruments (JCJP) scheme. What is the major possible implications of the decision? Stability in the money market? No, it is a single coupon or single instrument cannot cause stability in the money market by simple logic. Increase the foreign direct investment? No, how it is a step by minus ministry. It is just a coupon or instrument. How can I increase the foreign direct investment? To increase the foreign direct investment, you need a series of reform. That is ease of doing business, for example, clearing ease of doing business, tax reform, labor reform, or your literacy, or also infrastructure development, and also, for example, your governance reforms, Right, these are essential for to increase foreign direct investment. Just by introducing a new type of instrument does not create increase the foreign direct investment. Reduction of participatory notes. There is no relationship of participatory notes um, with the zero coupon zero principal instruments. It is basically yes, it is such an instrument is issued by non-profit, not-for-profit organization or NPO. They are issued by NPO or not-for-profit organization, right? Which will register in the stocks social stock exchange. That will register in social stock exchange. Right? Segment of recognized stock exchange. So what will happen? These instruments will be governed by Security and Exchange Board of India. It is a concept what that will serve to serve private and non-profit sector provides for channelizing greater capital to them. That means those social sectors they will get greater capital in the um, here, right? The NGOs will get greater capital. So here it allows the corporates to utilize their fund marked for social responsibility. So the funds marked for social responsibility, it allows the corporates. With reference to amendment made by legal metrology, that Commodities Rules 2021. Amendment made in legal metrology packet commodities. It allows electronic products to declare certain mandatory declaration through QR code for a period of 1 year. Yes, certain mandatory declaration through a QR code for a period of 1 year. That is, for example, uh, yes, for guarantee or all this declaration or composition or what are the details of the product. It allows important declaration to be declared on level in the package and other information in the QR code. Yes, level in the package. That means in the package it will be also mentioned and the descriptive information in the QR code. So which of the following statements are correct? Both the statements are correct here. Consider the following statement. A religious or linguistic community is minority in a particular state, inherently claim protection and inherently claim protection in the right to administer and run its own educational institution. Yes, we have Article 28, we have Article 29, we have Article 30 that provides the right to administer and run its educational institution, minority institution. It's about minorities, right? Article 25, 26, 27, 28. These provides freedom to profess any religion, propagate their religion, and also open the religious institutions, right? The minority status of a religious and linguistic community is independent of the provisions of the items in the union list. No, there is no relationship with union list actually. There is no relationship with union list. What the mentioned in union list? Union list is mentioned in the seventh schedule of the constitution. Especially it says in which entries government of India or central union government can make laws. There is also state list which says that mm, mm, in which the entries in which state can make laws. That is state list. So here only one statement is right. Now also remember minorities means is not defined in constitution. Is not defined in constitution. Right? Why such type of cases are coming? Because it says that Hindus are minorities in case of Hindus are minority in case of six states and three union territories. To this, right? Okay. Next. With reference to Samati site consider the following statement. Which of the following statements are correct? The site contains Mahastupa, which is referred as Adholoka Mahachaitya, the great stupa of Netherworlds in the inscription. The stone portrait is considered to be the only surviving image of the Mauryan emperor, which had the inscription Raya Asoko in Brahmin on it. Here both the statements are correct regarding Samadhi site. It is a Buddhist church. It is a Buddhist site, right? Samadhi site is a Buddhist site. It is in bank of Bhima. It is in bank of Bhima Nadi. Bhima Nadi, right? They discovered Asokan edict in which all this Raya Asoko manuscript is there. It is by ASI, Archaeological Survey of India. It has excavated some of the site, right? Okay. It in Kalaburagi district. Kalaburagi site. Kalaburagi. So both the statements are right here. It is important Buddhist site. If they ask, or if it may come on site, is a important Buddhist site. So both the statements are correct here. Okay. We will discuss Indian economy and related issues. Depreciation of Indian rupee. The Indian rupee breached the psychological significant exchange rate level of 80. Yes, exchange rate level of 80 to a US dollar in early trade. So $1 it has become 80 rupees. $1 has become 80 rupees. Lower factors such as Russia-Ukraine conflict, soaring crude oil prices, tightening the global financial conditions are major reasons for weakening of Indian rupee against US dollar. Significant dollar demand from the oil importers amid elevated crude oil prices and concerns about swelling trade deficit but also been catalyst to steep descent seen in the Indian currency. Why rupee is becoming depreciated? This is called as depreciation. For example, if rupee was if 1 equal to 70 rupees and it become 75 rupees, that means we'll say it is depreciated. There is two things with respect to such type of depreciation. One is called as devaluation and second is called as depreciation. The difference between devaluation and depreciation is that depreciation occurs in case of a free floating regime. Free floating regime means when uh, free floating regime means when the government or the RBI or the Monetary Policy Authority do not decide the exchange rate. Earlier it was deciding the exchange rate before 1991, before liberalization, privatization, globalization, the LPG reforms. RBI was deciding what is the exchange rate. But now time it is free floating. Free floating means it based on demand and supply, right? So why demand of dollar is increasing? Rupee depreciated means demand of dollar increasing. Before that we are saying it devaluated. If before 1991, if some rupee is become weak, we will say that it is devaluation. Devaluation is a process in which Monetary Policy Authority or RBI decreases the price of a of rupee. So okay. So depreciation of Indian rupee. So why dollar is becoming more price or it is why rupee is getting depreciated? First in Russia and Ukraine conflict, there is economic crisis throughout the world. Crude oil prices is rising. What will happen if crude oil prices will rise? For the same oil, the importers they have to demand more dollar because they will purchase everything in dollar. There is a supply side broken down in post COVID world, right? Breakdown of economy in post COVID world, and the effect is going to be for next maybe some from next decade of COVID. The effect will last. Now also, so in the tightening of global financial conditions, the inflation in many of the states are increasing. Major reasons for the weakening of Indian rupee against US dollar. Significant dollar demand from Indian oil importers that increases the crude oil price because as the demand of dollar is increasing, that's why it is becoming stronger. Dollar is becoming stronger. Okay. What will the impact? Impact will be import will be more expensive. From for example, for earlier, the importer was importing goods. Now he was paying 75. So earlier he was paying 75 rupees and getting $1 and purchasing one good. Was purchasing one good. But now it has to pay 80 rupees to get $1 for the same good. So here 5 rupees price of 5 rupees increase. So imports will become more expensive. Right? So when dollar strengthens against rupee, importers have to pay more for the same number of dollars. And since international trade mostly on US dollar, importers have to pay higher prices. International trade are mostly on US dollar, so prices of imports are increasing. So depreciating rupee will increase the cost imports. A depreciating rupee will increase the cost of imports, putting extra pressure on the people's pocket in the country which has an import-oriented economy. Depreciating rupee will increase the cost of imports. Obviously, the cost of imports will increase. Oil and gas will be the most adversely impacted sector. India imports 85% of oil and gas as consumes, right? So as rupee become depreciated, earlier it was paying for example 70 rupees, now it was 80 rupees. So here 5 rupees of the oil and gas increase just because of the rupee depreciation, right? So it has various adverse effect. It will expand countries' current account deficit. Obviously, current account deficit means export minus import. We have already negative import, but here also, as it will be more and more. So current account deficit will increase, right? Next, because import will be more, price of import will increase. It is import minus export. As price of import will increase as it is negative, right? It is always negative because we have more import. Sorry, it is export minus import. Export minus import, as import will increase, so it will be more and more negative. Renewable energy. India's solar plants depend heavily on imported solar cells and modules. Imported solar cells and modules. Indian solar plants are heavily dependent. So the demand of dollar is increasing. Project cost would rise. Tariffs on future bids margin compression of coming projects every rupee 1 per versus dollar lead to 2 paisa increase in the tariff. 2 paisa per unit. So there is also inflation in the tariff. Right. And a weak rupee directly impacts Indian trade balance and inflation go through high cost of imports. Inflation, why inflation? Because earlier for the same dollar, earlier the merchant was paying 70 rupees, now it will pay 80 rupees. That means here 5 rupees increased. So when he will get the product at 80 rupees, he will obviously will send in India at 85 rupees. Earlier it was saying, so here 5 rupees increased. Suppose he has 5% of 5 rupees of profit. So if the cost is 75 rupees plus 5, earlier it was 80, now it will be 85. So there is inflation, there is trade balance. It impacts our trade balance. Costlier imports will widen the trade deficit. Obviously, import will be more and export will be less. That's why that will widen the trade deficit. Then put pressure on the exchange rate. Earlier imports are also pushing up inflation domestically. Earlier imports are also pushing up inflation domestically. So this is why there will be inflation. That means prices of gold will increase. Okay. Next. One positive side of rupee depreciation is the exports get cheaper. Why? Because earlier, for example, one person was earning $1 from by export. He was getting 75 rupees, but now he will get 80 rupees, right? So the exports is becoming cheaper. When domestic currency depreciates, exports become cheaper, and exporters will get more rupee against the same foreign currency. So exports become cheaper. In short, industries like to exports like pharma and IT benefit will with depreciation. Industry, so especially when there is depreciation, they are interested to purchase the goods. Then role of RBI, role of Reserve Bank of India. RBI regulates and monitors the foreign exchange market and intervenes situation in excess volatility. Excessive volatility means whenever there is high increase in the exchange rate or a high decrease in the exchange rate. RBI has taken several measures recently to ensure foreign currency flow and prop up to the rupee, such as higher overseas borrowing limits in companies and easier foreign ownership rules in government bonds. Rate of and returns in the bonds yields in USA has been more compared to the rate of returns in any Indian subcontinent. RBI also proposed a rupee settlement mechanism under which foreign companies can take foreign payments in rupees, like unlike dollars, that is called currency swap. It is expected to reduce the need for US dollar for the current trade and stabilizing value, right? If we go for any other mode of exchange, that is, for example, we will not demand US to US dollar, then obviously dollar will become weak. An option available for RBI and policymakers. It is neither wise nor possible for the RBI to prevent the rupee from falling indefinitely. Uh, it is not possible for the RBI to prevent the falling indefinitely. It's true. Depending on the rupee will simply result in India adjusting its foreign reserves over time because global investors has much bigger financial clout. Right? If you start, adjusting the foreign, if you start defending the rupee, that means it will control the inflation, or it will control the flea floating the design. Then what will happen? Ultimately, will fall into financial crisis. Most analysts believe that it's better strategy to let the rupee depreciate and act as a natural shock absorber for the adverse trend of trade. Right? Whenever there is adverse form of trade, right? At that time, it comes as a shock absorber. That means it will not harm you a lot. The RBI should focus on containing inflation. It is legally mandated to do so. The government should contain its borrowing. Government should control borrowing. RBI should focus on controlling inflation. Right? These things will be done by the market itself. Then the depreciation of Indian currency likely to enhance export competitiveness in terms impact Indian economy positively. The rupee is more resilient than it outcome from previous crisis of the global financial crisis 2008 and taper tantrum of 2013. These are some global financial crisis. It has happened, but India will not pursue any such tightening of monetary policy, so that we will always suffer the free float of rupee and dollar to ensure stability in India. Although rupee has depreciated against dollar, it has appreciated against other major currencies such as euro and Japanese yen. Right. Under normal circumstances, rupee depreciation is good, but current account deficit because of the current account deficit, but because it leads to higher exports. Right. As rupee depreciation happens, it leads to higher exports. When rupee appreciation happens, that basically lead higher. It increases. It is beneficial for the importers. But at present, India is already facing high inflation. We have high WPI inflation, even up to 15%, and depreciation continued depreciation may be making matter worse. There are chances that central bank may intervene further as rupee sees a further decline. Right? Rupee is gradually declining, so central bank may take some steps. And Himalayan glaciers are resisting global warming. Important facts for prelim. Okay, usually what happens? Usually in case of global warming, the the glaciers they melt. But in case of in case of Karakoram, for example, in case of it is witnessed that in case of glaciers of Karakoram range, they are resisting global glacial melt. There is no glacial melt rather than there is deposition, that is called as Karakoram anomaly. The glaciers are fast receding under the impact of global warming. Stifling stress on the water resources is inevitable for coming decades. Obviously, as of it is there is receding of glaciers, that will be stress in the water resources of the upcoming decades. Define normalcy. This trend is defined a trend of glacier losing mass across the globe. Right? Across the globe, there is glaciers are losing their mass. With the Himalayas being no exception, in case of Himalayas also there is glaciers are turning into the glaciers are turning into water or it melts. Researchers have attributed its phenomenon as Karakoram anomaly to the recent revival of coastal disturbances. Karakoram anomaly is a recent uh, anomaly to the recent revival of western disturbances. The glaciers of Karakoram Kingdom. Glaciers of Central Karakoram Kingdom have surprisingly remained unchanged. Central Karakoram glaciers have surprisingly remained unchanged. That means there is no effect. Slightly increased, even it is slightly increased. In the last few decades, the phenomenon has been puzzling the glaciologists and providing climate deniers. It is a very rare sort of clause that means there is it is a strange thing that glaciers are not melting and there is deposition. The behavior seems to be confined to a very small region with the Kundul ranges being the example of showing similar trends in the whole of Himalaya. Kunlun ranges, right? Okay. What is western disturbance are the primary feeder of the snowfall in the region during winters. During winters, western disturbances or the cold weather that causes the snowfall during the winter. The study suggests that constitutes around 65% total seasonal rainfall volume or 53% of total seasonal precipitation, only making them most important source of moisture. So the western disturbances that is coming from the material region is the most important moisture. It's comes during the winter season. The precipitation intensities of WD impacting Karakoram has increased by around 10% in the last 2 decades, which only enhances their role in sustaining the legality of anomaly. The precipitation intensity of impacting the WDs impacting the Karakoram has increased by 10%. Western disturbances. So as the western disturbances have increased by 10%, so their effect on their effect is increasing over the Himalayas. The analysis of the tracks passing through Karakoram reveals that on the role of snowfall as a crucial factor in mass balance of distribution. Mass balance of distribution, right? It is very crucial for the climate. Remember the climate when they disturb, they create many other things which is not desirable. So It has ballast static. It has certain role in the environment. It's crucial for balance estimation. Calculation by scientists and contribution of western disturbances in terms of snowfall over the core glacier regions of Karakoram have increased by 70%, 27% in the last recent decades. While precipitation received from non-western sources, western eastern sources have significantly decreased around 70%, further strengthening the claims. So in some areas, the precipitation is increasing by 20, that is up to 27% in the Karakum range, whereas in other areas it is approximately reduction of 70%. Okay. Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction 2022. Recently, Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction took place in Indonesia. Remember, it is in Indonesia. Bali, Indonesia, right? Bali, Indonesia. The theme was from risk to resilience for sustainable development in all COVID-19 transformation. From risk to resilience, right? Resilience means how we will exist in the crisis. It is important for fast milestone and midterm review of the entire framework of disaster risk reduction 2015-30. Right, fast milestone, important fast milestone in the midterm of Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. The outcome of DP 2022 was summarized the coach as Bali agenda for the resilience. Summarized in the coach as Bali agenda for resilience, that is global platform for disaster risk reduction. What is the approach? DRR must be core development and financial policies, registration and plans to achieve 2030 agenda for sustainable development and sustainable development goals to SDG, right? Plans to achieve 2030 agenda for sustainable development and sustainable development goals. So all these countries they aspire to control the anthropogenic activities and ensure that the sustainable development goals are achieved so far as forestation is concerned, or clean water is concerned, clean environment is concerned, right? Clean air is concerned. To reduce the water pollution, to develop for sustainable development, reduce the poverty, hunger, all these things. Um, that is the approach of disaster global platform for disaster risk reduction. The current greenhouse gas emission levels exceed their mitigation, resulting in an increase in the frequency and intensity of catastrophic event. The current greenhouse gas emission levels far exceed their mitigation, resulting in increase in the frequency and intensity of catastrophic event. That means mitigation means, for example, 100 unit of carbon is released. Then, for example, only there is 20 unit, only 28 or only 60 unit is absorbed by the atmosphere. For example, right? This is for example, not in terms of fact. So that creates a problem. So rest 40% of carbon emission, they are not absorbed by anything, right? They create various problems regarding climate change. Intensity and the role of society. There is a need for a whole society approach to disaster risk reduction, ensuring no one is left behind. Participatory human rights based approach in the their planning implementation of a crucial as people are affected by different disasters. The development is multi-hazardously warning systems inclusive of communities most at risk. Social warning system, inclusivity and role of the society. So there is a cooperative type of development to counter the disasters, because disasters are increasing because of the increase in climate change throughout the world. COVID-19 recovery. I mean, the need to transform the recovery from COVID-19 pandemic build back better, greener, and more equitably. Recovery or reconstruction are the most successful when community-driven and existing local social resilience building mechanisms. Existing local social resilience building mechanisms means if any time there is flood or any time there is cyclone, then there should be secure homes for the poor and deprived, so that there will not any loss of life. Now also transfer recovery from COVID-19 pandemic build back better, that is the G7 summit outcome, and greener and more equitable. That means making the world greener means increasing the afforestation. Then understanding the risk. The risk understand remain limited, particularly regarding the emerging future hazards with the government policies are reactive. Particularly regarding the emerging and future hazards with the government policy largely reactive. Like largely reactive means whatever government does, there is a very strong opposition towards anything that is reactive policy. Weather modification and influx. China is conducted half a million of weather modification between 2020, 2002 and 2012. China conducted half a million of weather modification. Right. Weather modification means bringing change in the weather itself. Artificially bringing change. There is frequently made cloud seeding technology. Cloud seeding technologies and relief droughts to clear the area ahead of international events, right? To reduce the droughts. In some areas where there is drought, these applying to cloud seeding technologies. What is this cloud seeding technology? It includes addition of chemicals of small particles of silver iodide to clouds. When silver iodide is added, what will happen? Automatically there is droplets or rain occurs. These substances introduced into clouds, water droplets cluster together and increasing the likelihood of rainfall from the sky. So sky adds silver iodide is introduced in the clouds. Water manipulation of this type is known as blue skying. Blue skying is called as water manipulation. Cloud seeding is the opportunity to limit famine, reduce drought, and create better freshwater resources. Cloud seeding, because there will be more rain means more rain, so there will be more freshwater resources. What is Bonalu festival? Bonalu festival, annual festival celebrated in the cities of Hyderabad and Secunderabad. Hyderabad and Secunderabad, Bonali festival in the past of Telangana. Hyderabad and Secunderabad. Bonal festival is celebrated. About the festival, it is dedicated to goddess Mahakali. Bonal festival of Mahakali, as you believe, ferocious avatar of the goddess Durga. The word Bonam signifies male or Telugu. During this, devotee offer rice cooked with milk jaggery in an earthen pot or brass pot, which is decorated with neem seeds, leaves, turmeric, and vermilion. Women carry these pots on their heads to the temples. Apart from Yellama, during apart from Yellama during Bonal festival, different forms of Mahakali were worshipped, including Masamma, Dokalamma, Pedamma, Pochamma, Yellama, Olaramma, and Alakamma. Akalamma. That means there are various types of festivals, that is of to worship goddess Kali. These are different types of festivals. So this is Bonalu festival. It is annual festival celebrated in Hyderabad and Secunderabad. What is zero coupon bond? It is a debt security that does not pay interest, but instead trades on a deep discount. This discount rendering profit at maturity, and the bond is redeemed after a full purchase. Bond is redeemed after a full of its face value. Redemption zero coupon bond. So here a special line. The question about smart cities, and the question is of today is about smart cities. Okay, what are smart cities? Examine the relevance and urban development in India. Will it increase the rural-urban differences? Right? You have to write each part. What is smart? Then what is relevance? Then whether it will increase the rural-urban difference. Then arguments for smart villages. Or Pura, the concept given by the Abdul Kalam for one mission, that is Rural Urban Mission. So this is the question, right? Okay, the lecture end here. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to VANIK-IAS. Thank you.